a lot of shine. Running up the number, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Lot of sun. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me. Yeah. Big time. Big time. Big time. Big time. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Lot of signs, smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. Just running over with the dollar signs. Try to take it from me. Big time. I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time. Lot of shine. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try and take it from me, from me, from me, from me. Big time. Number 9. Down in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. The numbers, that's a lot of crime. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a Friday, yes, a weekend edition of the Ysn Power Hour this Friday. I mean, we got just you and I, Siege. Again, the CJ and DJ show, and it seems like everybody's just kind of bailing out this week. The cold temperatures, everybody's getting 2-hour delays. Everybody's getting their week off of school. And our homeboys are kind of bailing out on us here this week. I'm sure we'll get back to the regulation and the regular next week. But I'm cool with you if you're cool with me. Just kind of chilling, talk about some sports.
Oh, yeah.
Today, dude, we're going to do, of course, we're going to start with the natural, today in sports history. Then we're going to move on to not so much local, which you know how I feel about that. But we're going to talk about, out of all the openings and potential openings in the NFL, from a quarterback position, from a coaching position, or a GM position, what is the best job out there right now in the NFL? Because I think that's worth a topic, because there's a lot of people that are saying, if Tom Brady retires, that's not as a pretty a destination as some other quarterbacking positions in the National Football League at this moment, because you got some receivers that are leaving, possibly. There's not really anybody to throw to right now. Naturally, from Brady's standpoint from last week, obviously they're eliminated now, but there's a lot of different openings across the NFL that I want to get your take on, and I want to get everybody else's take on, because I still think the general manager of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I know I'm biased, is probably the most pristine of all of them out there, because you have a standard, you got a cap genius still to this day in Omar Khan, but we will talk about that. I'm not trying not to get ahead of myself here, give you too much ammo that you can throw back in my direction. We'll have a little bit of a Skip Bayless, and who's the other dude?
Shannon Sharp.
Yeah, they go back and forth. I don't necessarily think that you'll get as worked up as them, but we'll see how far I can get you down the path. All right, on this day in sports history. All right, listen to this one. This one is it's not relevant to the area per se, but it is very impressive. 1988, January 28th, 1988, Denver Nuggets point guard Michael Adams takes a record streak to 79 consecutive games with at least one 3-point field goal in a 117-102 loss against Indiana at Market Square Arena, and the streak ends the next game. 79 3-pointers, well, at least one in a game, 79 games in a row. So basically for an entire season, almost, you are hitting a 3-ball. Can you think of anybody, like, that's a damn good streak. That's a damn good streak. I mean, that's like hitting a triple for 79 games in baseball. Or I guess probably more a double, right? Doubles are more frequent. That's any manager in baseball would take that. What would be the equivalent to that in football? A field goal?
Maybe. Yeah, probably.
I mean, it's hard because
I can't really think of something.
Yeah. It's legit. Like, it's part of people's offenses now. It's part of teams' offense.
Oh, right.
Coincidentally, especially now, last night, my game, I don't think I saw a 3-ball for the first time all year. At least none made. There were some shots, but I don't think we saw a 3-ball converted last night. And that was my first time all year. So is that an impressive feat nowadays, is to not convert a 3-ball? All right. So from your standpoint, 70, could you do, if you had the chance, how many shots would it take you to hit a 1-3 in every game for 79 games? On the average. I'm taking 5.
Me? You're asking?
Yeah, I'm asking. I'm taking 5 shots.
Probably, yeah, I could see maybe 5 or 7 or something like that, but I was a terrible shot when I played. It's why I ended up quitting. But I was more of a kind of a point guard that would just give the ball to people and let them shoot it. Yeah.
Were you a lefty shot too?
I was a righty shot. It was the only thing I did righty, and that's why it was bad. That's why it was bad, because I was using my non-dominant hand.
So why couldn't you learn to shoot with your lefty?
I have no idea.
That's wild.
It's the one thing I could never figure out. Was how to shoot with my left hand. I could never figure it out.
So you're somewhat ambidextrous.
A little bit, I guess. Everything else I do left-handed though.
How many does Jackson Hendershot need? I would say Jax needs 2 shots. 2 shots a game to break that record. McClutch, I'm giving McClutch 2 shots. Even though I can't remember the last time I saw McClutch. Why are we calling her McClutch? Jenna McClutch. I can't remember the last time I saw her miss in person. Like every time she shot, the last game at least, I think she was perfect from the perimeter. Nick saying my guy CJ tried to pull a LeBron and failed. With the left-handed or with the right-handed shot?
Yeah.
Nikki C.
I was a terrible shot.
Let me just tell you about Nikki C real quick. Nick Colbert, my dude, keeps score for Salem boys games. And first off, I turned around. I was getting ready to do the interviews, and I'm waiting patiently. And Nick goes towards the coach's office, which the door's not shut, but it's not open. So he's waiting patiently and politely for them to have their little coaches meeting and then, go in. Well, I turn around and Nick's dancing. He is just grooving, right at the front of the door. And I thought, I'm man, I should really get this for Power Hour because nobody's going to believe him. My guy's just absolutely doing the Cupid shuffle right in front of the door. I didn't, though. I thought, Nick is one of the greatest young men you'll ever meet, the most polite, but passionate, right? So I'm waiting for him to maybe show a little bit of that passion. So I get my interview done. He's an absolute legend, sitting there waiting patiently for all the interviews, the paper, then me. And then on the way out, just stands up and screams, "That's my coach! That's my ball coach!" And I was like, let's Like I'm getting pumped up on the way out of there. It's just starting to calm down, right? My spirit is just start after Salem beats Marlington. I'm hype. I'm ready to go. Nick sits there polite as like he was in a library for a moment, right? Just sitting there, relaxing, chilling. And then as soon as I hit the red dot for cancel on the to stop the interview, Nicky goes berserk. Just absolute. And Jeff Andres, God bless him, loves it. And everybody in that room was taking it all in. So Nick, appreciate you, brother, as always, not only being a part of our stream, but being a part of the family, because I loved seeing you from that standpoint, man. Just a little behind the scenes that nobody gets to see. But back to the 3-pointers. I think it's tough. Nicky's back. He goes, listen, I was pumped about that win. I cannot interrupt the action. See? My guy he's a legend. Absolute legend. Nick Colbert, it has to be a YSN personality at some point. We got to get him on board. And get him on the Power Hour. I mean, more than just a commenter. That's CJ. You started as a commenter, and then I was like, you know what? The dude is just commenting all the time. Get him on the show, and now you're a mainstay. Now you got your own damn show with me, basically from 3 to 4. 3 points. Do you think that it's necessary in offenses, even in high school at this point, to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak?
Yeah, I do. And because I see it so often, I think it's more important for you defensively to be able to stop it. Because I see it so often where they just lackadaisically let whoever on the perimeter, and they make the shots for the most part. So I would say more than having to incorporate that into your offense, you need to incorporate that into your defense to figure out a way to break up those 3-point shots and not give them easy access. Because these kids nowadays, they're making these shots and they're very impressive, but it's getting more consistent, I would say, especially on the boys' side. I've seen it more often, but some of these girls, they can shoot the 3 too. So defensively on both sides, you got to be able to break that up.
I know I'm a little biased, but I have to say that Salem, to me, shoots the 3 ball better than any girls team around. And they do it because they'll bang bodies inside, everybody will bite on it, and then all of a sudden in the perimeter, McClish is out there. I mean, anybody is out. I mean, you have Riley Hutton's out there. Krista Barley out there shooting moon balls from space, and they're falling right through. But to your point, that's just another thing defensively that you have to prepare for. And I think the 3 ball is so dangerous. And I say this during the broadcast. It's so dangerous not only for defenses, because if you're on a 10-0 run and a team goes hot and they get, let's say they get 3 balls in a row and you go cold, it's a 1-point game, and even from that standpoint, if you got a good 3-point shooter or a couple of 3-point shooters, you're never out of a ball game. Because while you're down there getting 2s, they're coming back and getting 3s. Sigler saying, oh, wait, there we go. Sigler says the 3-point shot in the girls' game is such a huge difference maker. I wouldn't even just limit that to a girls' game. I think nowadays, what's funny is we're starting to become enamored with slam dunks again, right? We're starting to get enamored with that. The 3 ball was fun and exciting whenever it was the Splash Brothers doing it, and it's becoming more part of the game that people aren't necessarily excited about it. It's literally part of your offense, and that gets you into trouble, because if you go cold from beyond the arc, you live with that sword and you die by that sword, because if you can't hit 3s, it just makes it that much more difficult to score points at the end of the day. And I know that sounds, from the department of the obvious. However, the reality is there's less teams that want to be physical down low nowadays because they don't want to get beat up. I'm going to be honest, the kids aren't as big in basketball as they used to be. You don't see too many Polands out there that have 5 football players out there, defending a basketball court. Usually, and especially with the AAU, in play now. You've got 4 basketball players and an athlete. You know what I mean? Or 3 basketball players, 2 athletes. So,
yeah.
I mean, your thoughts on that? Do you think that it's less attractive to bang bodies inside? I know nobody likes the elbow jumper anymore. I know that for a fact. They hate the elbow jumper. To me, it's the best shot in basketball. But it's just not sexy. It's not a sexy thing. You're only getting 2 points for it.
I think I'm just on board with however you got to score points. That's really all I would care about if I was, a basketball coach. I think a lot of teams, East Liverpool's the one that kind of stood out to me whenever I watched them. They got some big kids down low, and every time on rebounds, they seem to come up with it. But when you're not gifted like that, not every team's gifted in that sense. You're going to be a little bit more timid down low, I would imagine, in the paint, maybe going up against a bigger school. So maybe your perimeter game has to be a bit better. And one example I think is Beaver Local. I do their games a lot. They have like 1 or 2 kids that are pretty big, but nowhere near as big as a team like East Liverpool. But on the perimeter, they got some 3-pointer shooters that are pretty good and consistent. And so that's how they score a lot of their points.
You know who's big? Badger. Badger, I don't think has a guy that's under 6 foot tall on their offense right now in their starting lineup.
Oh, wow.
So Josh Upshire, I had a chance to sit with him and break bread with him and his staff at dinner on Wednesday. And, I told him, I said, it's one thing when you see it on YSN and you see the size difference and the kids, but you don't necessarily know the size. It's like I can go to schools and say, okay, well, I know that kid's, not that it's tough. He's taller than I am, but you don't necessarily recognize 6'6" from that far, from where we're at, right?
Yeah.
Dude, when they played Palestine, I got to look at that footage, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, that kid eats peanuts off my head, and the kid from Badger is eating peanuts off of his head, and he's a 6'6" dude. Their center's 6'6", and I was just flabbergasted. And then there was a part of the tape that they're standing together, and they're all, I mean, it's like a perfect, like pyramid style shape, like 6'6", 6'4", 6'4", 6'2", 6'2". And I was just, I couldn't believe it because we can't grow those people here in East Palestine. Like I told Josh Upshire, we would break our own arm because unfortunately, and this is not a laughing matter, the center broke his arm in a game and wanted to come back in later. And luckily, Josh kind of knew the situation. He had broken his arm earlier this year. His mom's in the medical field. And he basically says, hey, if you can get clearance from a doctor and your mom, I'll put you back in. But until I get that, you're on the bench. I'm so sorry. And he's the nicest kid in the world. And you certainly don't want anybody to get hurt. But coaches always have that one kid that you just really hope that nothing happens to him, whether they'll admit it or not. Kind of like parents always have their favorite child. Like they'll never admit to it, but they have one. By the look in your face, I know that you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Let's get to some of these comments. Chris Sigler says, boys teams routinely shoot the 3 ball. Girls, you don't always see a team who is proficient, so they don't attempt as many. I don't know, Siggy. I don't know if I can agree with that because, again, every single game that I've been to this year, and I might be wrong, it might be different. I want to say even in United, they're shooting the 3 ball, no problem. Palestine, they are. Patience Champney, she touches the ball in the perimeter, and she's gunning it for good reason because she's a high percentage and a caliber free throw or a 3-point shooter. So I don't know that I've gone a game without not seeing at least a 3-point attempt. And I'm not talking about like the Hail Mary from half court with no time on the clock. It's a drawn up play, or it's a play that equals out the 3-pointer. And not that that's a bad thing. Because listen, as a short guy, when I play rec ball, I'm going from 3-pointer to 3-pointer. That's all I'm doing. I'm not, if I'm living inside, I'm dying inside. right? Because if you're 5'7", you're swatting the crap out of me on the inside, even if I try an elbow jumper. But in reality, if I'm on the outside, I got some leverage, and you're going to let me shoot that shot because you don't think it's going in. And then splash, splash, splash. Little Steph Curry, little baby Steph Curry. Like if there was a Build-A-Bear of Steph Curry, it would be me. It's just how it is. But at the end of the day, the three-pointer is so just people are enamored by it. But now we're starting to get more into that. We're enamored by dunks because the BFS, bigger, faster, stronger, is starting to take effect. Like kids jumping out of the gym. That alley-oop, did you catch that alley-oop the other night by Salem?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Oh, mama. That was out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I felt like I was watching wrestling and Randy Orton just RKO'd somebody because it was Ross Davidson going down the floor, tosses it up, and I'm like, where is he throwing that basketball? And out of nowhere, here comes Drew Weir, flush. Like, just matter of fact, and he just jogs back down the other side. I'm like, he just slam dunked like I eat, a McDonald's cheeseburger. Like, no big deal. Like, cash out, throw the napkin away, you're done. That cat did it like it was no big deal. That's a big deal. Like, things I will never be able to do in my lifetime, except on a Fisher-Price bucket. That's a big deal to me, So kudos to them. So, all right, here we go. Nick says, size is a much bigger advantage in high school basketball than the three-point shot. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. Because I've seen it this year. If you've got big players down low and they can rebound, I think rebound's the biggest aspect of that. Yeah, you'll give yourself more opportunities. Now, you can't forget about the three-point shot. I said it earlier, right? Defensively, you have to incorporate that a little bit into your defense. You can't just forget about it because you'll probably get burned more often than not. But I would agree that a bigger size is a big difference.
Okay, so you're building a team, right? You have the opportunity to start a franchise in basketball. Do you build your team around bigs, or do you build your team around shooters?
For high school,
yeah,
I would build it around bigs.
Wow.
Because I saw that East Liverpool game, and it's not that East Liverpool had better shots than Beaver Local. It's that they got more rebounds, and so they had more chances to. And I mean, I'm not kidding you when I told you they dominated in the paint. They were all over the ball. They had it. I would say probably it was 70-30. They won rebounds. I mean, it was so impressive, and that's how they were able to get all their points. And they found themselves in their own zone more often than not.
See, I'm going to sit on the opposite side of the fence on this, and not just because it's fun, but I seriously do. I'm going to live by the sword, die by the sword guy. And listen, we're either going to lose by 30 or we're going to win by 30 because I'm going to have shooters. I'm going to have shooters on every side of the perimeter. I'm going to have one guy at the elbow that is just so smooth, like a Milky Way smooth, that turnaround jumper from the elbow can cash in two if we need it. I'm not sold on the big man. And that might be because I'm not one. And that's how I build. Like if we're playing basketball on NBA 2K or anything like that, when they used to have the college basketball game, NCAA, I went three. I went long 2-3 because you're not going to meet me out there. You're going to think that I can't, and I'm going to get shots. Now, probably not going to get those boards. Like you said, we're going to lose 80-20, 90-10. But if I've got guys that can shoot the ball, I've got a chance. And the reality is I talk about the Westminster offense, and I feel bad because I feel like people don't realize what I'm talking about, because obviously not everybody went to Westminster in the days that I did. When I went there, Larry Ondeko had this offense. It was 10-second shot clock for Westminster. So if you had the ball longer than 10 seconds, these kids, these men would run, and they would pay for it, right? and they'd have people on the bench after 10 seconds. So every single time they go down, they're chucking up threes or they're chucking up long twos because they feel like the quicker they shoot the ball, and I heard this the other night, which dazzled me. Walt Long, shout out to him. The quicker they made it, the quicker the other team can make it too. You know, it less about defense and more about scoring points, because at the end of the day, Larry Ondeko thought, you know what? I've got better shooters than anybody in this league or anybody we're going to play. We're going to work on shooting. Could care less about defense because you're not going to shoot as many threes as us. You're not going to make as many threes as us. One of these days, I'm going to have Craig Hannon on, who coaches Girard right now. Craig was elite. He was a great baseball player and one hell of a basketball player and could chuck it from wherever. He was like Steph Curry before Steph Curry at good old Dub C. So I love offenses like that. I was told last year that East Palestine was going to be that offense. They were like, because they had nothing to lose. They weren't winning games, and they just said, you know what? We're going to work on our shooting. We're going to have a 10-second shot clock. He even said 5-second shot clock, and I thought that was too much. Like, if you got a 5-second shot clock, you're chucking it from half court. But I would love to see that. I want one team like that, and I'm covering them all year. I will go on the road with that team. So if you're out there and you want to be that team, let's go. I will personally hang it up wherever I am, and I'll come cover you because I love that style of basketball. All right, what do we got here? Respectfully disagree. Rebounding has more to do with attitude and effort than size. Riley Hutton is Salem's second leading rebounder, and she's not exactly huge. Nick Rome, great point. Great point. It is about attitude. I'm going to hit that ball and you're not. That's just how it is. Siggy says, boys game, post players are needed. Girls game is dictated by guards. I think every game is dictated by guards. Right? Because if you got bad guards and you can't pass the ball, what the hell's going on? Like your bigs, there's some skilled bigs out there. But I've yet to see a big handle the basketball very well, like juke somebody out of their shoes and take it to the rack. It just doesn't exist around here. And if you have a big guys who can shoot the three, it's game over. I don't disagree with that. I like Springfield's Alex Rothwell. I like him a lot. Drew Weir, I like him a lot. You look at Rome. I know Nick's on here. I'm not trying to stroke his ego, but Kate Rome can stroke. That's how it is. Salem's got those guys. That's how they beat Marlington. You know what I mean? They beat them down inside in the second half and then stretched the floor and were able to land a couple big threes. So I like that. Nick also adds, Heartland Christian, also a good example. They don't have a kid much over 6 foot, and Johnny Buckets is scorching them, and that's much bigger for them. Johnny Buckets. First off, I love that people call him Johnny Buckets now. That warms my heart and soul because he's an East Palestine kid. Uh-oh. I see you, Amo.
What up, dude?
Little drop
What's up,
on.
TJ?
Little drop in on the power. Where the hell have you guys been?
Oh, work.
Are you going to get in trouble?
Early. No.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah,
I know that there's been some speculation that people getting in trouble at work. We don't want that. We do not want that. Work comes first. Family comes first. Work comes second. Power hour, like 6 foot of dirt power hour. So what's going on, my brother?
Good. Been a good Friday. Some good games tonight.
I knew you were going to bring it up. I knew it because you've been blowing up my phone all day about this West Branch Salem game.
I'm excited to see how Salem comes out.
Comes out or finishes?
No, just like if they can put two games together for the first time, I would say this year, because I think they've been kind of underwhelming this year.
I'm going to cover you up for a second. Keyword, Jackson Hendershot and Drew DeShields. Hendershot being recruited by Westminster, Washington, and Jefferson. Let's go. If Jackson Hendershot goes to Westminster too, that means we got Rothwell, Hendershot.
And Reese Leon. Reese Leon's there right now, isn't he?
Yes, I believe.
Yeah.
And there's a couple South Range boys there too.
Oh, they got South Range kids there?
Oh, I can't remember their name.
I think you're right. The one I remember is Reese.
Good basketball player of the year. They were Ritters. The Ritters.
Ritters. Yep. Yeah.
C, baby. Dub C.
And then Lowville Springfield's tonight too, I think.
It is. It is. Jamie Thompson's going to have that call for us tonight on the network. So there's a ton of games. In fact, if you don't mind, boys, before we go to break, can I go over the games for tonight?
You got any
Go
CJ?
ahead.
I don't know if CJ,
What
you on
was
the schedule
that?
tonight?
Me tonight?
Are you-
I'm not scheduled tonight. I have a game
Yeah,
tomorrow.
me and you were off.
at,
I was
Beaver
supposed to be in
Local.
Indiana.
All right, you ready for
person
this?
we were meeting with had COVID.
Oh my gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12,
15?
13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19,
jeez.
20 games. We're back in it.
Wow.
The stratosphere. All right, you ready for the
20
rundown?
games.
Here we
That's a lot
go.
of games.
5:30, Newton Falls at Liberty. That's girls basketball. We also have starting at 7, Austintown Fitch at Canfield. That's a big game. Benedictine at Ursuline.
Oh,
That's a big game. Brookfield at Crestview. That's a big game. Camel at LeBray. Big game. Chalker at Heartland. I like that game too. Champion at Garfield. Then you look at Howland at Boardman. Big game. Hubbard at Niles. Big game in the NE8. Jackson Milton at McDonald. Rivalry game. Jefferson at Girard. I like that game too. Lisbon at Latonia, the Spaghetti Bowl. We have Lowville at Springfield at 7 o'clock. Already mentioned that one. That's going to be a huge game. A lot of people looking forward to that one. I mean, that's going to be a high-flying game. There's no – and for Jamie to pull that is no surprise because he gets those games. Newton Falls at Liberty. South Range at Lakeview. Struthers at Poland. United at Wellsville. Valley Christian at Columbiana. West Branch at Salem. And Canton McKinley at Louisville.
Ooh. Is
Ooh.
McKinley good this year?
Good enough.
I haven't heard anybody talking about him, so that's why
I've never heard anybody say anything bad about their sports. Like I've never heard anybody say McKinley's bad
That'd
at
be a good game for
X.
Louisville. See how good Louisville is, which they're hot right now. So
I know there's going to be 2 different streams of that. We're going to have it, and then I think Canton City Schools actually does their own thing, which is great for them. I'm excited for that, and to be able to kind of network with them. And I'll tell you what, our Louisville crews are premium. They are so good at what they do. And I do have to tip my hat because you guys know I have a special spot in my heart for kids, especially kids that don't have the same luxuries as all the rest of us. And the other night there was a
awesome.
game for the Special Olympics that benefited Special Olympics for kids that had disabilities. And for Rob Roberts and Bob Burek to do that game and do it with so much class, because those games, they're not exactly stream friendly. Okay. So it's not the action that you're going to see on a Friday night or a Tuesday night, but it's the heart and soul that goes into those games. I was so touched that they wanted to do this game. And Bob Burek is huge into kids with developmental disabilities. And I love being a part of that. Like that is the biggest part of my heart is kids like that. We're trying to get more and more involved with that as we go on, because I love how it makes them feel when they know we're there for them. And I love how it makes us feel whenever we're doing it, because it's a way to give back, but also be joyful. You know what I mean? I've never seen anybody that's done one of those games on our behalf that hasn't absolutely loved it. You know what I mean? Now, you're talking to a guy that's done a T-ball game, and that can be like literally pulling your hair out. But I'm going to say this and nobody's going to believe me. I would do one of those games over a Super Bowl, over a state championship, over that, because the vibe in that room, in that gymnasium, at that field, whatever it is, it's so good. So good. There's nobody screaming and trying to kill somebody. You're not blaming the refs. You're not doing it. Like, it's just everybody's out to play sports the way it should be. And that's
you need to get Baker Mayfield involved. He does Special Olympics.
With all due respect to Baker Mayfield, he can go pound salt and kick rocks at the same time for all I care. I don't want anything to do with that guy. Nothing. I don't want to touch him. Like, that's like the Browns. You talk about GMs. We're a small sports network in Northeast Ohio. I don't want anything to do with the guy. Respect to him for what he does for kids off the field, but no, sorry, Baker. Like, you're a bad apple. I'm calling it right now. He's a bad apple. You can agree with me or disagree. Sigler says he wholeheartedly agrees. Nick says McKinley is deceivingly good. And Jeff Collins says Clark from Springfield and Zupko from Ridge. Yes, I knew there was a kid from Springfield. Drew Clark is at Westminster as well. Tyler James.
Coach Collins, taking time out of his day at Georgia Tech to watch the Power Hour.
This is big, right? When you've got Division I coaches that are watching the Power Hour, it doesn't get any bigger than that. Now, per our conversation yesterday, I would not mind if Division II or Division III coaches watch the Power Hour either or as well. But we certainly thank Coach Collins. McKinley is 8-5. They play a great schedule. Only lost to Cincinnati Moeller, a powerhouse by 5.
Wow.
We're going to see a ball game tonight, boys. That's what it sounds like to me. Hey, we got to take a break, pay some bills, or else we're not going to be on here for very long. When we come back, Amo, are you ready for this? What is the best job that is currently open in the NFL? Coach, player, front office. We'll be back with that. Debate that topic when we return on the Ysn Power Hour.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Working with your family can be stressful at times, but because they're family, you know that you're going to get a loving, honest answer, even when things don't make sense to any problem. Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
Storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
All right, we are back on the YSN. But look at that new look right there. I like this camera. Whoever talks gets the big box, and whoever doesn't gets the little box. So the question was brought up, and I think it's an interesting question. It started out with, what's the best job in the NFL? And to me, the best job in the NFL is going to be a backup quarterback. But that being aside, what's the best job available right now in the NFL? And your options are front office for whatever team's open, right? So if there's a GM job open or, a director position open in the NFL, you could take that. A coaching position in the NFL or a player position in the NFL. So you kind of have to do a little bit of deep diving on this to really think about it. I've got my answer, at least down to the team. Shocker, what I'm going to say. But I don't know that I have it down to what position I'd rather have. So, do you guys have one? Amo's got one, so we'll let Amo go first. All right, Amo gets the big box. Here we go. Amo, what do you got?
So, I'll surprise you. I think the worst coaching job available is the Saints. They got no cap room. I think I saw they're like $40 million above, I think. So
45, yeah.
You got to release a lot of players, but I'm going to go, so I'll say coach because I think that'd be kind of cool. I would be between the Dolphins just because of the kind of the team they have. I'm not sold on two of those, so I probably wouldn't. But I kind of like the Raiders. You got Derek Carr, Darren Waller, Jacobs, a decent O-line, and then the defense is meh.
Did you see that the Raiders?
But they made playoffs,
coach,
you know. So.
The Raiders interim coach was hired by the Bears as a strength coach.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Wow.
I'd
also say the Steelers' defensive coordinator would be a good spot too.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
Like if you're a coach, that'd be a one that I think, you know.
Except if you want Tomlin to call the plays, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, you'll go on to do something else, I would think, if you do.
So what do? You go and get Tomlin's Dunkin' Donuts in the morning? Like, what, as the defensive coordinator of the Steelers, what are your responsibilities?
I guess that's kind of not what you sign up for, right? But
TJ,
depends. You probably know that going in.
Attack TJ Trent. Okay, so let me ask you this: you would be okay with being the head ball coach of the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah.
But the Raiders? So where is it? Is it 1 and 1A or is it 1 and 2?
I think I would be, if I got offered them both, I would choose the Raiders.
Just because of what they
I
have
like Derek
back?
Carr more than Tua because, I mean, let's be honest, if you're a coach, you tie yourself to a quarterback, right? I mean, and
but Derek Carr might not be there next year.
Well, yeah, that's also true too.
you might be Marcus Mariota's head ball coach.
Yeah, then you're. But I would say, as the pieces stand, I think Raiders is a pretty good spot, and I think Saints is a bad spot just because of the cap room. You're going to lose a lot of players there, and you don't have a quarterback. I mean, you're paying Taysom Hill how much?
Too much.
I mean, but I think that's why Sean Payton left. I think he kind of saw it.
Yeah, he didn't say he was retiring. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
He was walking away. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with. All right, CJ, what do you have? What's the best position for you in today's NFL era?
I think it's very surprising that, first off, that Miami even has an opening. Because I thought that their head coach Flores did a pretty good job, especially down the stretch. And what they win, like 8 in a row. So he did a really good job at the end of the season. I think that's a pretty good spot right now. It's a little. It's going to sound a little crazy, but I also kind of think Jacksonville is, because they're coming out of what was a very tumultuous year, what was a terrible year for them, that really anything you do is just going to look better. So just out of that, you know, and they got some young pieces and Trevor Lawrence, and so they can bring it up a little bit in the future, but I know you're going to say Steelers, and I want to agree, but I think they got to get an O-line first, and once they get an offensive line, then maybe. But even their GM, I mean, being the GM of the Steelers there's a lot of pressure, right? There's a lot of pressure on you to get it right. And if you don't get it right, I mean, that's the truth. If you don't get it right, you may not be gone, but every Steelers fan in the country will hate you.
If you don't get it right, you go 8-8. That's what we've seen with the Steelers.
That's true.
If you don't get it right, you go 8-9
now, or 9-8.
You watch your damn mouth. We did not go 8-9.
Well, no. I'm just saying. With
we
that
went
whole
9-7-1
now.
Yes, stick it.
I hate that.
Should be
you can't
10.
go 8-8 anymore. You can go 8-9 or 9-8. Terrible.
Or you can go 9-8-1 or 9-7, whatever it is.
9-7-1.
9-7-1.
Because you can't
I'd
win
argue
against
that
the
tie
damn
helped
Lions.
you guys make playoffs.
What?
I think the tie helped you make playoffs because
Shut
of the
up.
fact of
Stop.
No.
It almost screwed
It almost
them
kept us out of the
heavily.
playoffs.
Well, but I'm saying, like, in a normal year, like, that tie, if you're a good team, kind of helps you because you don't have a loss.
But
And
you don't have a win.
Yeah, but you're always a half game above someone.
But if you just win the damn game, you
Well, yeah, if
don't
you
have to
win,
worry
yeah.
about that.
Well, that's true. You guys should have won that game anyways, but that's beside the point.
You want to talk about games that your team should have won?
Oh, I could name 5 of them.
You guys should have won that game. I hate.
Chiefs,
I don't
Chargers,
hate when people say
Raiders.
that. But Amo, you know how bad it is when people say that stuff. I'm going back to the old view. This view stinks. There we go. I'll be on the bottom for a little bit.
Oh, no, you guys should have beat the Lions. Just that you guys terrible first half.
You almost lost to the Lions.
I mean,
that's when I knew we were in trouble. I knew we were in trouble.
Well, they almost beat us.
That's what.
Then the Ravens. They should have beat the Ravens.
Hello?
They should have beat the Ravens.
They should have beat the Ravens. And they should have beat the Steelers. And they should have beat the Browns. The Bengals had to play them too, right? Bengals probably smoked them.
I was going to say Bengals smoked them, I think. They smoked all the bad teams, and then they kept in it with all the other ones.
Pat Narduzzi chiming in on the coaching situation.
Dude,
Dolphins should have never fired Flores. Kenny Pickett to Pittsburgh. Let's make it happen.
That
Coach,
would be
you
a
realize
dream
that's
come
tampering,
true.
right?
Wow. That'd be a dream come true.
There's no way Kenny Pickett
for
lasts
him to
that
go to
long, right?
Pittsburgh.
I mean,
to 20?
Yeah, there's just no way, right?
I'm going to say this one time, boys. And by the way, before we get into that, yes, I would want to be the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I've always wanted to be the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it just so happened that my guy, Ben Roethlisberger, for the last 18 years, was the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is why I have 17 Big Ben jerseys at home that my wife constantly gets on me about. And she's like, well, what are you going to do with these jerseys now? Guess what? Dude's going in the Hall of Fame. So I got 5 years to wear these suckers.
They're vintage now.
They're vintage.
I got a question for you, DJ.
So I keep ordering them.
I was just talking to my friend about this, about Hines Ward.
Not a Hall of Fame.
I said Hines Ward and like Omar Vizquel are kind of like identical before
How
Omar.
dare you?
No, before all this other crap came out, for the fact of they're really good players. But there were so many good players in their generation that are like first ballots to where they get forgotten about. You know what I mean? Like to where they're like good enough. Like I think Hines is a Hall of Famer. I think he's a good wide receiver. I'd want him on my team.
I mean, he's one of the best receivers in the history of one of the best organizations in the NFL.
It's just like their stats aren't there. You know what I mean? Like
he's got 1,000 catches right on the dot, right?
Really?
But and if you had a hardworking player, Hall of Fame, Hines Ward would be the first one in there.
I just love how he got hit and he would smile when he got up. That would piss me off as a linebacker or something.
Right? And that was one of my favorite and that was everybody's favorite thing as a Steeler fan was Hines Ward and how he'd go over the middle and take the hits and smile and it would drive people bananas. But that's like, is Heath Miller going to go in the Hall of Fame? Is like, where do you stop? If you let guys, and this is no disrespect to Hines Ward, but if you let a guy like Hines Ward in, then I never want to hear anything about like tight ends, just guys that are on the bubble. Like I like Hines, but it's hard enough for receivers to get in. And if we start letting in guys that were like above average and not great, where does it end? You know what I mean? Because it waters down the Hall of Fame. And it's the exact opposite of what baseball's doing. Criminy, Lord. Baseball's got a problem. Baseball's got an absolute problem on their hands. And, the Hall of Fame is around. And what people don't understand is the Hall of Fame is around.
So how does the voting work for football? Does it, I don't know if I've ever, is it a percentage like baseball? I don't know.
That I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to argue that because I don't know. I don't know.
I would like to know how that works for football. To know if it's similar.
I have a friend. I'll give you his number. Google.
Yeah, I'll Google that after this.
I love you. The big thing though is baseball. The Hall of Fame's there for history, right? It's there to record history, good, bad, and indifferent. And I respect it because I feel like it's just letting in the good because it doesn't want to tarnish the game. but that's part of the game's legacy. Is it's been ugly. Like it's been the ugly girl at the prom or the ugly prom king. You know what I mean? And it won. It still came back and won. And I got to be honest, like with all the strikes that we're seeing over the last 20 years in baseball, it's a miracle it's still being played at the professional level. And
are they close now? Have you heard? No,
not yet.
That's
probably another month.
Oh, good.
Mid to late February.
Because that's what baseball. That's going to benefit baseball. Let's get these guys in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I did hear an argument, CJ, and I'm interested to hear your point. Not to get off the topic here, but who cares? It's our show. At the end of the day, all these guys being kept out of the Hall of Fame, right? And that steroid era. Yet Bud Selig is in the Hall of Fame. Talk to me about that. How is that? The guy that oversees baseball during that era gets in the Hall of Fame, but the guys that are in that era and playing in that era and promoting baseball and aren't. Explain how that works.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting, right? I never really considered that. But Selig, definitely, he was I wouldn't say he was the biggest benefactor of it, but he definitely got some kudos, I would say. He kind of brought baseball back, rejuvenated it, right? Because he was the commissioner. But Bud Selig did a lot for the game, I think, just other than steroids that kind of benefited, whether it's adding the wild card scenario to the playoffs or bringing the interleague. He really brought interleague into the fold. But yeah, I
interleague, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those years. Yeah, but that's true. Him being in the Hall of Fame is a little bit silly. And we talked about it the other day that really the only two I think that should be in are Clemens and Bonds. I think Sosa
Sosa cheated beyond just steroids, right? And it's never been proved that he's taken steroids or supplements or whatever it is. But he tried to cork his bat.
Right.
That's when I was like, all right, dude, this guy's a jackass. Like, I get it. If you're trying to bend the rules, I'm cool. Like, I can appreciate it to an extent. But if you're trying to absolutely blatantly break every rule you possibly can, all right, dude, are you even good at baseball?
And the problem now that the writers are going to have, well, it's kind of solved now that Bonds and Clemens are both off the ballot and Sosa, but it's going to go to the player committee, whatever it is.
Which I think they will get in 2 years.
I do too. Eventually, I do as well. But the problem that the writers have now is now that Ortiz is in, how do you justify? And it's not just on Ortiz, because I loved Big Papi as a player. I said it before. He's a Hall of Famer. How do you know that nobody else in the Hall of Fame did steroids?
You don't,
right? That's the issue. That's the real problem. Is you can't prove that nobody before. And I've said it before. It ain't a Hall of Saints, right?
Right.
It's not. Right. It's about preserving the history of the sport, and such dynamic players like Bonds and Clemens that defined an era of baseball. For me, it's so ticky-tack to pull them out.
You want to see a hero? You want to see a hero? This would be the perfect ending for me. Would be somebody gets in the Hall of Fame, right? Who was allegedly steroid free, and then they come out after everything's taken care of, a year, 2 years after, where they can celebrate it, and they go, "I took PEDs." And guess what? Here come the floodgates. Open that guy, whoever it would be a hero, because then the writers can't do anything, because their job is to exploit these guys. They didn't do their job well enough. So now this guy's going to come back and say, after 2 years of being in the Hall of Fame, go, you know what? these writers don't know what they're talking about. I used PEDs the majority of my career, and look at me. I didn't have near the success as Barry Bonds or Roger Clemens or or Mark McGuire. Boom. End of story. It's done. That dude is a hero for baseball. Put him in the commissioner's seat, and then let bygones be bygones. Let these guys go in, and let's get these old nerdy writers out of there. Like that.
Oh, Barry, you didn't give me an interview. You're not going in the Hall of Fame. Here's me flexing on you, Barry. This is what you get. The power of the pen is mightier than the sword.
Shut up. Like, go to hell. Like, you're ruining the Hall of Fame because you want to flex on somebody when you can't pick up a 10-pound weight, nerd.
Wasn't Bagwell and Yvonne Rodriguez in, and they both haven't done it knowingly, but there's been speculation about both.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. And Bagwell wouldn't do it, but I could see Pudge getting up and saying, I did it.
Would you agree Pudge is a Hall of Famer? I mean, I would agree he's. Now, Bagwell, I'm kind of.
Pudge is.
Bagwell, I'm kind of up in the air about being a Hall of Famer. Like, I think he's got the stats, though, so I think you give it to him, right?
Bagwell, Biggio, Hall of Famers. Because I think Houston probably moves without those.
Is Biggio in? Or was he?
Yeah.
Oh, he is? Okay.
They went in together.
Now, here's
good class,
so for the only thing I kind of respect is the writers who are very dead consistent with it. They say anybody that was ever connected with PEDs, I'm not voting for them. I have a little bit more respect for that.
Congrats, Coach.
Kirby Smart, we got national champion.
So I have a little bit more respect for that because at least you're being consistent with it, right? So you're not voting for Poppy, you're not voting for anybody connected with PEDs. It's so hard to know who is doing what in that era, right? It's just
especially in that era where if you weren't doing it, you were like you kind of fell behind a little bit, right?
Let me just, and I'm going to say this, not knowing anything, but I heard a little rumor of a person that I know that is local, relatively local here, who's played in the big leagues, and what he described to me was why I'm disgusted with these writers, because baseball tests for just certain supplements, certain PEDs. If they tested just regular drug tests, we wouldn't have baseball. Like Ritalin, focusing enhancement, drugs, things of that nature, players take all the time to be zoned in things. But we're not gonna pump down on that. You know, we're gonna put the stick in the mud and steroids because what? And the only reason Pudge, Rodriguez, and the majority of these guys take steroids, unfortunately, it's not for the reasons people think. It's not so they can hit a ball further or harder or whatever. It's so they can stay in the game because you're playing 162 games and it's a long season. Your body breaks down after 30. And unfortunately for the majority of these guys, that means they'd only have a 4 to 5 year career. And then they go back to reality, which is doing what we do. You know what I mean? So these guys are uber talented to be able to hit a baseball, catch a baseball, whatever they do in the game. But the reality is I think the unrealistic expectations of the writers, the fans, things of that nature. Do we want to know that these guys are taking enhanced? I don't care. Because at the end of the day, listen, Amo, nothing against you, and CJ, nothing against you, but I'm not going to pay $75 a ticket to go see a bunch of average Joes like us play a baseball game. Like, you can go to a men's softball game if you want to do that for free and drink some beer. But the reality for me comes down to if they're taking, I don't care. It's their body. They can do whatever they want to it from that standpoint, as long as I'm entertained. You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to.
You can go down to that Mexico league with Bartolo. Bartolo Colon's down there pitching with beer in his hand.
Bartolo
Colon his body hasn't completely. It's surprising his body hasn't completely collapsed. Big sexy Bartolo.
Yeah, he's the man. All right, we got to get to our sparks here, boys. Hang on. It's the end of the show. You know what that means. It is the Joe Dickey Electric, What's Your Spark? Presented by our friends over at DickeyElectric.com. Joe Dickey Electric, proudly powering the Mahoning Valley for over 60 years. Amo, you want it?
Oh, yeah. Positive spark. Give a shout out to Mike Springer at Springer Tires last Friday when Springfield came to town. Their bus had a flat tire, and he replaced the tire for free to get them on the road. And I know Mike. I took my wife's car there, and great guy. That's just local community stepping up for each other. I heard about that, I think, Friday night and kind of forgotten. And I saw a story being shared this week, and I think it needs shared more, that we got businesses around here that are willing to help local schools.
I'm going to steal the next spot, CJ. I hope I don't steal your spark. Kind of going off of what you're saying, Amo, the teams that are going out and shoveling. And I saw McDonald do it. I saw the Lisbon girls do it. I love this because any more, I feel like it's always a fundraiser. And I know that times are tough, you know, and money is thin in the schools and in organizations and within the programs. But to see that community spirit of, hey, listen, you support us, so we're going to support you, and go shovel your sidewalks and shovel the schools. And like, I love that because coaches feel, and I don't want to speak on behalf of them, they always feel so awkward because I feel like they always feel like they have their hand out. You know what I mean? Hey, we're having this fundraiser, support us, support us, support us. And then 2 weeks later, it's support us, support. And it's just like it goes basketball, football. And that's the natural thing, right? That's how you raise money, is fundraising. But it's nice to see that it's not just the spectacle that these teams now of, hey, you support us and then you come and pay to watch us play what we do best. It's, hey, thank you for the support. We want to offer the opportunity to shovel your sidewalk. And if you feel like paying when they do that, a lot of them I heard were saying, no, we're doing this out of the goodness of our heart because we want to support the community. Love that stuff. That's my spark. CJ.
I'm with you.
So I have two. One's positive, one's negative. I'll do the positive one first. Gonna have some fun this weekend, covering the Buckeye 8 championship at a Beaver Local. So gonna have some fun doing that tomorrow. And so my negative, because we were talking about the Hall of Fame voting, and it reminded me, the idiots that put no players on their ballots, 0 players on their ballots. You mean to tell me you can't look at a ballot of 30 fantastic players in the history of some of the greatest players in the history of baseball, and you can't put one down, like not even one? Like, you shouldn't have a vote at that point. That's one of the biggest things that irritates me about the Hall of Fame voting, is the idiots that put no players down because they think, oh, well, he couldn't hit like Pete Rose, or, oh man, he didn't have the power of Willie Starr. Well, of course he didn't, right? Because not many people did. It's so mind-boggling that Todd Helton's still not a Hall of Famer. That's all I have.
I forgot about him.
Yeah. Todd Helton is a Hall of Famer, period, end of story. And it boggles my mind because, he played in Colorado. Oh, who cares?
We're looking at you, Ron Cook. Nobody, an empty ballot. By the way, that cartoon DJ is sexy. That's all I'm going to say.
How do you not vote for anybody?
Well, here's the other thing is I have sunglasses on my head there. I'm just going to point this out. Those are sunglasses. Those are Oakleys, right? And Nick Colosimo said from a distance, it looks like a hairpiece. And I was like, I had to look at it, and I was like, oh man, it kind of does. It kind of does. So easy on my profile pic on Facebook. All right. Easy. And by the way, Kirby Smart, I appreciate you. I see you.
You guys best friends now?
The swagger. What's that?
You guys best friends now?
Me and Curb?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Curb dog. He's coming up. We're gonna celebrate the national championship here.
I love our fans.
February 5th, man. That's my birthday. So he's coming up.
We don't have Nick Saban yet.
Oh, you asked for it, buddy. You just asked for it. Nick Saban will be here, guaranteed. Somebody right now is typing
I
Nick
know.
Saban.
That's why I said it.
I know you
Give me
did.
some Nick Saban.
We need some more of those burner accounts, but we need to get out of here because we are in overtime. Guys, thank you very much. Awesome to talk to you today. Hope you have a great weekend. Good luck on the calls tonight, this weekend. And if you're out there on YSN and you're looking for games tonight, go to ysnlive.com/live. 20 games to choose from. We are back.
For free.
For free. Exactly. Free city. On behalf of the boys, on behalf of all of us at YSN, peace out. We'll see you on Monday, 3 to 4 on the network. YSN thanks you for watching this presentation.